Welcome to today's GIS report. I am Information Officer Nikita Turnbull, and today we will be focusing on energy and how it is being improved here in the territory. The Minister for Communications and Works, Honorable Mark Vanterpool, stated that by 2023, 30% of the territory's energy supply will be generated by renewable means. So far, along with other things that we will discuss today, an energy policy is in its final stages for preparation for Cabinet's approval that will guide the overarching energy program. Today, to speak with me in detail about this initiative is the Ministry of Communications and Works lead person for the energy program, Mr. Vance Lewis. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
So the first question, we know that the government of the Virgin Islands has been working on this initiative for quite some time. What is the goal of the energy program?
Thank you, Nikita, for welcoming me here. The Minister has set several goals, all falling under the main goal of 30% of the territory's energy to be supplied by renewable means by 2023. One is we are trying to reduce fossil fuel imports by 20% by the year 2021. We're also trying to have 50% of the consumers get involved by using renewable energy or get involved by using conservation techniques by 2021 as well. And by 2021, we are working towards having Anegada reduce diesel fuel to that island by 80%. That is, I think, quite a significant achievement.
So why have you set those goals? Why has those goals been set, the purpose of the energy program?
The main purpose for the territory and the main benefit to the territory is first to reduce our dependence on imported oil derived from fossil fuel because of the volatility of the price of oil on the markets. And also we hope that by so doing, we will improve the environment in the British Virgin Islands. And as an addition to that, we will have more healthy lifestyles in the British Virgin Islands.
So what means of renewable energy will be used here in the territory?
We are looking at some from a primary point of view and then some others which are in the background. The primary ones are energy from the sun, which is called photovoltaic energy, energy from the wind, using wind turbines to generate energy, energy from ocean waves. We're using energy from waste as well. We're using energy from waste heat. We're using energy from water. That's a possibility used in many countries. We're using energy from biomass. That's where you specifically grow certain things that you can use to produce energy. And energy from landfill gas, sometimes called natural gas. And there are other forms used in some places, islands which have volcanoes. Energy from geothermal means we've included that as well. In our policy, and any other source that the minister may decide is worthwhile us looking for it. And in addition to all of those, we're also very actively pursuing within the territory lifestyle changes through energy conservation.
Good stuff. So you said you mentioned other Caribbean countries. So I know that other Caribbean countries are adapting to renewable energy as well. Was research done to ensure that our energy program is successful in comparison to those that are already out there?
Absolutely. We have done significant research in getting to where we've gotten to. And we have also been collaborating with quite a few Caribbean countries, quite a few countries within the Caribbean and other small island states outside of the Caribbean as well. And an independent study was recently conducted by UK entity Octa, which recently, at its conclusion, assessed where the BVI stood, where countries stood relative to each other. We were above most, but still have quite a way to go. And that's one of the reasons why we're forging ahead, actually trying to accelerate our efforts to get to the targets that we have been set by the minister.
So a few laws were amended before the energy program to give growth to this initiative. Tell us a bit about those amendments.
So in 2015, we had the BVI-EC Amendment Act 2015 that replaced the BVI-EC being BVI Electricity Corporation, Cap 277, which was a 1999 act. So that's a significant improvement. We are also almost complete with the regulations which give life to the act. And we are hopeful that we can have the 2016 regulations, again, the BVI Electricity Corporation 2016 regulations, which will replace those which were dated to 1999. And the 2016 regulations are going to be named the BVI Electricity Corporation's Renewable Energy Regulations 2016. And we're also looking at, although this is not part of the legal framework, we're looking at the energy policy that you spoke about, which governs our overarching effort to introduce renewable energy into the territory in a serious way. And one thing I must add with respect to that is, for that policy, we had input from over 40 local stakeholders, and it covers pretty much all aspects, including transport. And we will continue to update that as technology goes ahead.
So presently now, if I want to outfit my home 100% on renewable energy, I can do that?
Yes, you can. And there are different categories for different people. For instance, a consumer generator, which will be a normal household, can be licensed to generate up to 50 kilowatts, 50,000 watts of renewable energy power. That's a domestic consumer. That is now in the law.
And that's the cap?
That's the cap for consumer generator. Mm-hmm. But if you're a commercial consumer, then we have a higher cap for that. A commercial consumer can be licensed to generate up to 500 kilowatts of renewable energy. And for entities that wish to generate higher quantities, well, they can get an interconnect agreement with BVI Electricity and sign a power purchase agreement, which will define how much they produce, how much the BVI Electricity Corporation pays for that power, and how the grid tie interconnection works. So you can see it goes up depending on the various uses.
So you mentioned a license. How can one obtain the license to generate renewable energy at their home?
Yeah. So once the regulations are complete, licensing is going to become pretty much straightforward. You just apply right now you apply to the Ministry of Communication and Works, and it is going to be considered by the ministry and signed off by the minister in consultation with the BVI Electricity Corporation.
So I know one part of the energy policy it talks about opening up, I guess, a field of workers, and the HLSCC, the HLFD Community College, is now offering a few energy and safety courses. Can you speak about that?
Yes. HLSCC has taken the lead in terms of educating the public, because one of the facets of implementing renewable energy is to create jobs. But to create jobs, you need knowledgeable persons. So there's some 8 courses, I think, that are currently offered. The longest of these courses is one which is offered in association with the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. It's called NABCEP. It's almost a 2-year course, very comprehensive. It's internationally recognized. And once you're NABCEP qualified as an energy practitioner, you pretty much will be recognized anywhere within the world. And the college has been offering that for a couple of years now. We've got shorter modules, though, and some of these shorter modules are more specialized in terms of various aspects of renewable energy. And I think they've got one as well as a subset of that. And there's another one, which I really want to mention here, is called an OSHA course, Occupational Safety and Health Administration course. It's a very short course, and it costs just $60. And I really want to ask the public today to consider taking that.
Extremely affordable.
Yes, because that actually is with safety in mind. Not only safety with electricity, but general safety in mind. Safety at work, safety in the home. and for $60, I don't think you can go wrong.
So now that we're on money, in some way, it's costly to buy into renewable or energy saving products. What is the government doing to ensure that prices are regulated or at least they're lowered for energy products going forward?
Well, some people consider it costly. Others will say it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity as well to actually have savings further down the road. Let me tell you how it works. If you were to invest in, for instance, LED lights, you may have a high initial cost, but your bill goes down so significantly that you have a long bill for the rest of your life. And so therefore, the money you spend on energy over the lifetime of your household is significantly lower. So that's just a perception. But what government is doing specifically is considering having duties reduced on certain items related to renewable energy. This is in progress at the moment, and at the moment I cannot specify which items nor how much will the duty be reduced, but once that is done, the general public will be informed.
So the government is doing something?
Yes, it is being considered.
So with the policy, will the public be able to sell back energy to the grid, and will it be in the form of credit or money paid back into your pocket?
That's a fantastic question. The idea, first of all, is to have someone who is in a domestic household and who wishes to become a consumer generator. The idea is for them to design a system which suits their needs primarily. However, if there is excess power after meeting the needs of the household, that through a grid tie system can be supplied back to the grid, and BVI Electricity Corporation will allow you credit. Of course, as I mentioned before, for very, very large consumers, very large producers, the independent power producers, they will have a special license, a green energy license, and they will have a power purchase agreement with BVI EC. So they no doubt will have cash, but that will be defined by the power purchase agreement.
So are there appropriate regulations being put in place?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the regulations are one area. The regulations are actually what govern the connectivity to the grid by the various consumers. And so that had to be updated. And the regulations which are enforced at the moment are the 1999 BVI EC regulations. So we are right at the cusp of completing the 2016 renewable energy regulations. And once those are complete, they're going to be brought into force so that renewable energy generation and connectivity to grid tie systems can become pretty much the norm in the territory. And we're hopeful that these new regulations will be implemented within the next few months.
So what is the reception from companies that specialize in this area? Are they on board with this initiative?
We've had a very, very healthy response from the community on all sides. On one side, the companies that are interested in generating energy for profit or installing arrays, photovoltaic arrays for consumers who would like to, they are very happy that they now have a chance to actually expand their businesses, offer employment, bring new jobs into the territory, bring new skills into the territory, as well as help us to meet our goals. And on the other hand, we have other corporate entities, the corporations who hope through implementation of renewable energy to take less fuel from fossil fuel derived. And both of these are very enthusiastic. And I should say that we have received several letters in the ministry asking us to accelerate our efforts to be able to bring these items online for both sets of people, as well as residentials as well. People in domestic properties, they're also trying to push the envelope in terms of making sure that they too can do their little part in making sure we have a clean environment and we reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. So it's a full court press.
So, Mr. Lewis, 2023 is a long way off. Can you speak about what the government is doing now to improve the current grid sustainability?
It may seem like a long way off. From 2016 is only 7 years off, and that's not a
Only.
lot of time. But so far, what we have done is we've implemented the Act. That's the main part of the legal framework in 2015. We have got the regulations going. We've got a comprehensive policy going. We did some pilot programs in Road Town to understand better how LED lights work, how LED lights will affect us. And I think the general public would have seen those lights in town. Not only just LED lights, but they would have seen some solar lights interspersed between the LED lights as well. And this was us delving into the renewable energy environment. And we have taken another step in purchasing some solar lights, which are going to be on Tortola, Anegada, Just Van Dyke, and Virgin Gorda mainly. And that's going to be a prelude to another project that we've got, which is ongoing, the replacement of the entire streetlight program in the territory. We're replacing all streetlights with LEDs, and LEDs really stand for light-emitting diodes. These are semiconductor type lights, very efficient, very green, and we're replacing all the old type of streetlights we've got with these and with solar lights. And we're also encouraging householders to implement solar water heaters in their homes as well, because you can imagine a solar water heater reduces the electricity you take from the grid and reduces your bill. So there is money to be put in your pocket using that as well. And the government has taken the lead on this as well. The government has, in the central admin complex, right now we have reduced our lighting. We are 80% of complete in changing the lighting from traditional lighting and fluorescent lighting to LEDs. We are contemplating a project which involves multiple government sites. I think it's 4 government sites where we're going to be generating electricity using sunlight from those 4 sites. And government is doing whatever it can to actually make sure we tell the public what we do. As a matter of fact, that's why we're here today. We're here today to actually encourage the public to get involved in renewable energy form, get involved in energy conservation, do your little part in doing this. And the ministry has actually run a program in schools where we put we taught the school children all the elements of conservation and all the elements of renewable energy. And we're hoping to move that into the arena of the general public going forward with that.
So Honorable Vanterpool stated before that the territory has gotten very close in the last 2 to 3 years to the maximum electrical demand. And this is why we're experiencing the outages here in the BVI. Can you talk a bit about this?
Yes, at the moment we have our demand and our supply amounts are almost equivalent. I think we have our demand at about 34 megawatts in the territory, and our supply is in the region of about 40 megawatts. So a program that should have been implemented about 6 years ago called Phase 5 Power Development Program is now due to be completed by the end of 2016. That program is going to result in us adding some 26.1 megawatts to our grid. And hence, that will certainly move our ability to generate electricity way above the demand and give us some breathing room. And we know that once that is done, we will have less instances of brownouts or blackouts, less instances of unscheduled power outages, and we're looking forward for that. And in Phase 5, there are multiple elements to that as well. It's not only just a generation aspect as well, but we are putting new cables connecting the power stations at Parkwood Pond to Longbush, because the existing transmission cable is pretty much full, so that we can transmit that power that's generated into the main load center in Road Town. We're putting new high voltage cables. People would have seen the roads being dug up in Sikau Bay. Well, that's the reason why. and we're taking that over the Paul P. Watley Drive into Longbush Power Station. And also we are taking the opportunity to expand the power station in Pockwood Pond as well. So all together, those elements will be phase 5, and that is currently on schedule to be complete by the end of 2016.
So are there any other phases pending that we should expect?
Power development is a continuous entity, and coincident with all those programs that we've spoken about, the BVI Electricity Corporation and the ministry has also commenced a power forecast study as well, which also should be finished by the end of the year. That is going to be a 10-year forecast of what power needs the territory will have. That study will drive other developments for power in the territory. And also that power will include our efforts to renewable energy. As we say, if we want to get to 30% of renewable energy by 2023, certainly by 2026 we expect to be further ahead with that.
So while we wait for the completion of phase 5 power development program, what can we do in our homes? I know you spoke about it briefly, but what can we do in our homes to ensure that we are not contributing to the strain on the grid now?
We can do some very simple things. Turn off lights when you're not in. You leave a room, you turn the lights off. It's so simple. You're watching an appliance, you're watching a television. You're no longer watching it, turn it off. All those things use power. You can implement timers in your household so that you don't have to heat water all day if you're at work. The timer will actually heat the water when you need it and not heat it when you don't. And so you don't waste power. And and if you're not wasting power, you're not wasting money either. You can also implement, as I mentioned earlier, a solar water heater instead of an electric water heater. That is going to be significant savings. Some people say that alone will reduce your bill by some 40%. And you can also consider, once the regulations are complete, becoming a consumer generator of renewable energy as well. So the sky's the limit with respect to renewable energy. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to ask the general public to get educated about renewable energy. Search the internet. Go to the H. Laverty Stout Community Colleges. They've got some very attractive courses there, which really are pretty inexpensive. And you may get more ideas, because through renewable energy, we will create more jobs in the territory. I think we are going to be richer for it, and we may become a center of excellence in many different ways.
So before we wrap up, are there any new initiatives under the program that are being executed presently, or that you would like to remind us of?
Yeah, well, I spoke about the pilot program for streetlights, and I think I said it was in Rotown. But the pilot program actually was not in Rotown only. The pilot programs that have been done before, we did mainly on Tortola, and that's why we're expanding that now to the other areas. So people, the general public, will see evidence of that coming up very soon, with more solar lights coming within the next 6 months, more LED lights coming within the next 6 months, and they'll be able to see the difference, as well as phase 5. Phase 5 is going to change our lives, because no longer will we have to worry about having maybe daily outages, as we can now meet our demand through the efforts of the BVI Electricity Corporation. We are right now completing our comprehensive energy policy. That comprehensive energy policy will also detail, for instance, how well our environment fares as well. Because as you well know, motor cars, for instance, or as our economy is based on tourism, yachts all use diesel. And if we can find a better way to actually power our vehicles, electric vehicles, solar-powered vehicles, those, I think, are things that are coming down the pipe. And BVI is certainly going to be among the leaders in the world in making sure that we do our part.
Well, thank you for joining us, Mr. Lewis, and elaborating on how the energy program will play a positive role in our society.
Thank you very much, Nikita.
If you would like more information about the energy program, you can contact the Ministry of Communications and Works at 468-2183. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Information Officer Nikita Turnbull. Do have a blessed day.